Phil Steele has a couple different rankings here. So one is just who he believes are the best teams in the country. Just doesn't matter who they play. It's more about who are the best teams, 1 through a million, 134. And he's got Florida State as the 14th best team in the country. Then he's got another ranking where he puts the talent of the team and the roster and the coaching staff and all that against the schedule. And he tweaked it just barely with Florida State at number 13. How does that hit you guys?
I like starting off in the middle. I don't like when they rank you really, really high early. I like you having to earn it and let people kind of fall back and do stuff like that. So I didn't know Phil Steele. I didn't know the magazines were still coming out. Where'd you get that? I used to live for that when I was growing up.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, Phil Steele, man. Yeah. You've been consistent.
Now, I believe I got 2 of these, so I could send you one, James. But I got 2 in the mail. I ordered 1, but I got 2, and I'm thinking that that's because I got 2 for like 2 or 3 straight years. Phil Steele sent me one for free, so he probably still in the mode of doing that. But I went and bought one, so I got 2.
I used to love those, man.
Oh man, you talk about like this is not a magazine of whatever it is, 250 pages or whatever, 351 pages. No, this is a magazine of more like 3,000 pages because it's written in code. So one page is like the equivalent of 10 pages. Like you got to understand the entire code because it's all.
He's doing the entire. He does all P5, right? Does he still do all P5? I'm not P5 entire Division I, right?
Oh yeah, it's everything. It's everything here. So let's go to Florida State, and we'll go to his position rankings, and you guys give me his your response to his rankings. We'll start on offensive quarterback, and I'll give you the other ACC teams just to kind of give you a reference point. So among the national rankings with Texas number 1 at quarterback, and that's the entire quarterback room, he's got Miami 10, Georgia Tech 11, Virginia Tech 12, and Florida State is number 33. Quarterback room.
As a room, I can see that. You got DJU, whose career hasn't proven him to be elite, but he is good. And then you got 3 quarterbacks who've done absolutely nothing. So I can understand that.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, for just the exact reasons James said, like my bias, my just kind of knowing of the situation of offensive line and all that stuff put into it makes me think different, and my love for Luke Kromenhoek. But yeah, you can kind of look at it, say that Miami, I mean, they got Ward. I think maybe they're a little high, but that's a separate question. I'll leave it at
that. Just a quick question. In Miami's quarterback room, does he still have what's that kid's name that left?
Oh yeah, he may have been done with this before.
Jakari Brown.
Jakari Brown.
Yep.
That's a big difference. I mean,
I would have to dig into it to see. He doesn't have that listed in his little rundown, but in the team preview, that might be there.
But as far as what he ranked Florida State at, I don't have a problem with it at all because you have to base it off of what paper is there and what's happened. And James pointed to it perfectly. You've got DJU. Outside of that, you've got guys with you got one guy that's got 2 games of experience, and then after that, you got nothing. You got two true freshmen after that. So with Luke Kromenhoek, I think he's going to end up being great. I think Brock Glenn is going to be a really good number 2 this year. I don't want to have to see him, but he, in my opinion, could be a really good number 2 if needed. DJU, that we have a room that has to prove itself, and that's cool. We have the majority of our football team that needs to prove itself. So on paper, completely understand the rankings, just like where we're ranked at as a team, where he's got us ranked at I think you said 13 or 14, somewhere around there. I actually agree. I think that paper-wise, that makes perfect sense. So Just let us go out and do what we do and earn our ranking.
Running back, Ohio State's number 1, ACC, North Carolina 5, Miami 7. SMU, got to remember them in the ACC at number 15. And then we've got Florida State at 19 at running back.
It's fair. Again, Miami grabs a big free agent in Damian Martinez. I don't know too much of what they have behind them. When I look at us, we're a lot deeper. You lose Trey Benson. It's tough. I mean, in any individual thing, it's going to be, if you're in the top 20, he's looking at this thing from totally standing outside of it. 19's fair. Fine with me. I think, again, you could probably end up with a better rating at the end of the year. But on paper, we lost the majority of our production in Trey Benson. But with Toafili and Roydell Williams, I'll take what we got over a couple of those teams in front of me. I just can't lie.
Yeah, I've got more of a problem with this one than I do the quarterback room. You've got the ACC MVP and Lawrence Toafili coming back. You've got Roydell Williams that came over from Alabama that I understand wasn't their primary starter, but he played a pretty good amount of snaps. And then you've got Keziah Holmes that ran the ball for us when he was asked to pretty well. I don't agree with us being at 19. And I don't think that North Carolina nor Miami has a better running back room than Florida State right now. But I also didn't multiply and divide the numbers that he did to get to that understanding. But I think what a lot of people need to understand is when someone, or if they're doing their due diligence, they don't just go in there and have an opinion and say, well, I think this is 1 through 20 or 1 through 134. They literally break it down versus production, returning production, offensive line capabilities, blah, 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 etc. So to multiply all those points and then divide, I can't say that he didn't come to the right mathematical answer as far as what he put in, but I don't think the Florida State's running back room is anything below the top 10 personally, but we'll see. They have to prove that still.
Running back is running back. Martinez has a lot of production. They return Miami returns a couple other running backs.
Yeah,
I'm not
Fletcher's really good.
I'm not familiar with North Carolina's running back, so I don't know.
Omarion Hampton led the ACC in rushing last year. He is really good at North Carolina.
Okay.
He is really good.
I think the other part of it is, last year you had to respect the quarterback that North Carolina had. This year, I'm going to make your quarterback. I'm going to force you to make me respect your quarterback.
Yep.
But like I said, I like Roydell. I really think Toafili is an X factor, but that's fine. I mean, again, I can pound the pavement, and I know our guys are good, and I like it. But if this is based upon past production, Florida State's offense is really in the situation where it's a lot of, all right, you lost a lot of guys to the NFL. Prove it to me. And I'm not mad at that.
Then we've got receivers. And one thing I'll make a comment about the way I do rankings, and I do this. This makes it difficult on me because when I rank running backs, I'm trying to factor out the offensive line because I'm doing offensive line rankings elsewhere. Now that's extremely difficult to do, but it's a game of football. And it's not an individual sport like baseball or basketball. So it's very difficult to do any of that because it all works together, of course. But at receiver, Oregon's number 1. And then elsewhere in the ACC, you've got SMU at 8, Miami 11, and Florida State's at 23. North Carolina's 14, Florida State 23.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that. Got much to say there.
Say that again.
Florida State's at 23.
Okay. And this is the offensive. You said this is the offensive line?
This is receivers.
Receivers. Okay. Yeah.
No, I'd be pissed if it was offensive line. We'd have a problem.
Anything on receivers before I move on to the offensive line here?
I think the receiver room, that's fair.
And then we've got offensive line. We've got Georgia 1, Florida State 5, Miami 7, Clemson 9, Georgia Tech 10 out of the ACC.
It's so funny considering how much everybody cried and complained about our offensive line while we had one of the top offenses in the nation last year. But I'm going to take that.
Yes, I love it. I love it. That's honored and could even, end up being higher. You're returning the third most starts in the nation. You got a top 3 offensive tackle, another tackle that's going to be going into his second year. Just across the board. Maurice Smith's coming back for another third year starting, I think. Your guards, you lose one here and there, but it's just steadily upgrading. You bring in Terrence Ferguson from Alabama. You got second year of Keandre Jones. You bring in my opinion, the best O-line from Florida that they had last year in Richie. So, yeah, pumped up. Can't wait to see it. It's going to be a strength. Like you said, you try to separate that from running back. That's why I said I was fine with it. But yeah, that offensive line, it really sets things up. And one take I want to get off because I know we're almost out of time. This relates back to the whole thing and even back to quarterback. There's all these takes about, what a guy's done, this and that. I saw a chart that showed all the quarterbacks going all the way back to Jameis Winston and even before him of like the last 25 quarterbacks. And the only really, really good ones were Jameis and then Jordan Travis. It's like, look, Jordan Travis is the only quarterback you've seen run this offense pretty much, especially the past 3 years. It's like we saw what Graham Ertz did at Florida with his history of just being a loser for year after year after year and doing all these things. We saw what he could do and turn around in that situation. The fact that we don't think DJU is going to be able to come in and be able to help the running game, the team around him, especially with offensive communication coming in this year, and Florida State having Mike Norvell, one of the true gurus and play callers in the game, it's going to affect all of us. So that's why I think when it's all said and done, Phil Steele, I think he's done a good job, but I think we either, exceed or meet most of his expectations.
I think the biggest reason that your offensive line's ranked as high as it is you've got good people coming back, great starters, but this is the most depth offensive line seen in Mike Norvell's era. So that was an extremely fair ranking just based off of what's behind the starters. So I think that's extremely accurate.
And a note on the rankings there with the offensive line. Florida State had 206 career starts coming back last year. They've got 187 career starts coming back this year. That's an extremely high number. I look at those numbers all the time. That's a very high number, probably top 10% in college football.